Hey everybody from Mind Body Spirit Summit. I am Courtney Riley. I'm one of the co-hosts, and I am so excited to have Joseph Garcia and Irma Nieto with me today from Voss Financial. Joseph started out in the financial service industry in 2009. Joseph is a financial planner and owner-founder of Voss Financials and Building Bridges financial firm. Voss Financial is a company dedicated to bringing financial literacy to everyone, independent of their income level and background. The mantra at Voss is building wealth is not a privilege, it's a right for all. Building Bridges financial firm is a holding company for a partnership of independent financial advisors and counselors who want to help as many families as possible through their financial needs. Their firm takes pride in that they all come from different walks of life. So they have people from financial banking, nursing, hospitality, education, and more. They don't pretend that they're above you. They're with you. And Voss actually means you, and you are at the core of everything that they do. Irma is a certified financial counselor, a bilingual interpreter for a school district, and the founder of a women's series named Mind, Body, Soul, which focuses on weightlifting, athletic movements, meditation, and therapeutic stretching. Wow, this is awesome. I'm so stoked to have both of you here today and honored that you guys are here.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And I would just love to hear a little bit more about the two of you. And where did your attitude and beliefs about money come from? What informed your choice to get into the financial world? And maybe, Joseph, if you want to start, or doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
that's fine. What made me get into, I never thought I would be in financial services. It's kind of the last, how did I end up here is kind of the question I get asked a lot. But for me, it was, if you lived through the economic crisis of 2008, if you really lived through that crash, you understand how the typical system did not work, right? The entire crash happened because old way thinking did not work for the way we were progressing economically. So that's a huge reason why I got into it, is because I saw too many of my friends, coworkers, even family members lose half of their retirement. My mother lost $50,000 of her retirement, and she was 1 year away from retirement. So what is someone in her situation, what would she have done if that's all that she had to rely on, which most Americans do? And my understanding of money comes from, I used to have a love-hate relationship with money, right? I grew up in the ghetto, so of course you're told, don't make money, we can't afford that, you're told that from a kid, from the age you can remember. But then as seeing another way of money, my grandmother was a housekeeper, so seeing the way her employers lived, there was always an abundance of money. So I got an understanding of both.
Wow. Super cool. I mean, I could see how that would totally influence your desire to be in the financial world then, and to want to educate people with that and see that both sides exist, and to be a kid living with that paradox of both. You know, that's so interesting.
Yeah, as we would drive. It's funny because in the mornings when I would go to work with my grandmother, we'd go from South Central. You drive through, we drove through the riots, going to work, the Rodney King riots, and all of South Central was burning. We're driving through it so she can go to work, and you go to Beverly Hills, and it's like Disneyland all over again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's that paradox that I think we don't really pay attention to, but it does have an impact on a child.
Yeah.
It does have an impact, and I think that's the thing we lack is our relationship with money, right? We're emotionally driven with money, and that's kind of a thing where we need to control and sometimes detach ourselves from.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Thank you so much. And Irma, how about you?
It's funny because listening to Joseph and just knowing him, our stories parallel a lot with each other's, because I too grew up in South Central, and I grew up with the notion that my mother would tell me that I could do whatever I wanted to, but I also had a very strong influence from my father, and my father would always just kind of allow me to do whatever I wanted to do. So I didn't really form a really good relationship with money until now. And it wasn't because, I think it was because I just had two different opinions on money. One was go in and do whatever you can do to try to make money, get an education, hire yourself on that end.
Yeah.
But then on the other spectrum, I had the make money so you can pay for rent and make ends meet with us here at home. So it was more like to try to just keep the house going instead of trying to better myself. So when the financial crisis happened, my dad actually started losing his house, and I helped him save it. He had retired and he had a couple of strokes, and so he wasn't really all there. And by this time, my parents were no longer together, so I was in charge of the house and the making sure that everything was okay.
Ooh.
So when that happened, I said, "Oh wow!" Like I was able to find the avenues. Like I was able to find the information out there because the information's out there.
Yeah.
But it's difficult to find, especially when you think you don't know what you're doing and you second guess yourself.
Yeah.
And then the financial industry makes it difficult for the regular folk to just try to figure things out. So when I found the right resources, and I'm not saying that it was all just me, but it took a lot of researching and educating myself to save the house. And we went from a pink slip notice from our house being auctioned in 10 days to us being able to save the house.
Oh.
So it was that. And so I had been in the accounting industry 17 years ago, but then from life happening and everything, I met Joseph and he got me back into it. And I said, well, like, I can do this. Like, why can't I? And I think a lot of the times, I'm going to say as a woman, you think as a woman you can't do it because the financial industry is so male driven. And but I think I'm not going to, I think women are better with money because we know how it works. Because we have to, housewives, a lot, that's a hard job to try to keep the budget, to try to keep the house going. And so I think that women we're much better with that. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that, I know I had like a similar mantra growing up. I mean, I grew up where, with money at times, no money other times. And, I grew up in a very loving family where we were tight and they cared about how I was doing emotionally, energetically, and all that. But there wasn't necessarily the financial literacy on my parents' end to then teach me, right? And I feel like, our educational system is lacking that. It's lacking. We learn how to count dimes and pennies and dollars and do that. But beyond that, there's not necessarily, unless you go into the financial world, an education on budgeting and investments and taxes and everything. So I love that at Voss, you guys really feel that it's everybody's right to have that literacy. And so I think that that's super important. If someone, what are some top questions someone wanting financial literacy should be asking themselves, and maybe where are those resources to help them gaining that financial literacy?
One of the things that we tend to ask all of our clients that we get a lot of feedback from is when we ask them, what do you want to do when everything is said and done and you're ready to retire? And a lot of people say, I don't even think about that.
They're like glazed over.
Yeah, exactly. And for us, why even start getting your finances together if you have no goal, right? Mm-hmm. If you don't have a goal, then what's the purpose of you stressing over everything? The goal could be to start a business. The goal could be to go retire in a beach, at a beachfront property. The goal could be I just want to travel. What is it? No, not one, two goals are the same.
Right.
So the main question is, what is your goal? To live debt-free, whatever it could be. Whatever it could be, to go on huge shopping sprees. Don't think that. Don't be afraid to be selfish when your time is done working and you want to do something for yourself. Mm-hmm. That's the first question. And resources that they should be asking themselves is, who can I connect to? Who can I partner with? We have so many titles: financial advisor, financial counselor, CPA, accountant. I could go on and on, but they really don't mean anything if you don't have a partnership with your client, meaning that we're in this together, right? We're gonna ride births with you, marriages, divorces, deaths, retirement. We're along with you on that journey. So if it's not a good fit both ways, then why even do it? So that's the main thing that I believe the community should be looking for. Who's a good fit for me? Right. Who's going to help me be selfish with my golden years, so to say? Right? And it doesn't have to be golden years old. It could be golden years at any age.
Well, right, because I mean, I definitely know with, different friends of mine, different family members, people who are in certain situations, and there can be shame around not having already figured this out at a certain age. Yeah. And so you're actually even shy to start doing the research or asking the questions because you feel like everybody else already has it figured out and you don't, right? And we're like, if everybody's saying that, So what are some questions, someone should ask a potential financial advisor before starting to work with them to make sure they are the right fit?
That's a good one. Irma, what do you have? And before I chime in.
Yeah. What should a person ask? I mean, I don't even know if it goes down to a financial advisor. I think it's just getting to know, because most of the clients that I have, or I should say all of the clients that I have, doesn't start off as a financial advising session. It starts off as, let's go have some coffee. Let's get to know each other. Right. Because if you can't even have coffee with your client and have a conversation about life and about what's going on, then in reality, you won't be able to help them with money. So whenever I sit across my client, I don't even, like, money, it's like we talk about what's going on at home. Like, what did you do this weekend? What did you do to this morning? That, like, our conversations are that way. And then towards the end, if the fit feels right, then that's when they'll ask me, like, so I want you to help me. And it's easy as that. There's no, like, I don't think there's any questions but that's me and I've only been in the industry for a little while. Yeah. I don't know if Joseph has some more specific questions that clients.
Yeah, and that's the approach we all do in the firm is kind of we call it the coffee approach, right? And it's just getting to know somebody. But after the coffee approach, when we feel that they're open, because when you talk about your finances, it's like being naked, right? It's like being naked in a room, and you're thinking, oh my God, everyone's going to judge me. And you see the good, the bad, and the ugly. You see the shit credit score, excuse my language. You see the crappy credit score. You see all the debt. You see all this. You see bankruptcies. Guess what? There's nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. So that's why building the relationship is so important first, because please, come naked. It's okay. We're good. But then when we go after that, what we really want to see is what our client should be asking is, this is my debt. This is what I want to do with my debt. This is how much I could save. This is what I have going on at my job as a retirement. I'm self-employed. I have no retirement. I have no emergency fund. What do I do? I want to have children. I want to buy a house. I want to do this. So those are the questions that everybody comes to us with. So the key question someone should ask is, what can you do with my debt? What is my long-term goal and short-term goal? Those are the three most important things.
Yeah, beautiful. And what I'm hearing from both of you is that, like, do you understand my values, and are you helping me understand my values? Right?
Exactly.
So if I'm meeting with you, are you getting me? And are you getting that I value that when I retire, I still want to have enough money to pay for my grandkids' education, right? There's people who want that. Right,
and it might not even be that. It might be, I'm a crafter. I love crafting, and I want to be able to craft and just go to Michael's and Joanne's and just not worry about what I'm getting.
Yeah,
there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah,
there's really nothing wrong with that. So it's just being open and letting. And this is where we tell people it's okay to be selfish. Tell me how selfish you want to be.
Right. I love that, because I also think too that, finance in our relationship to money is emotional, right? We all come from, like you both shared your stories about where you came from, and all of that influenced your money story. And each person you're meeting with has their own money story and their emotional relationship to money. So when you ask them to actually just identify the values, identify the goals, it becomes a lot less about the emotions, just more about information, right? Like, oh, that is my goal, and this is where I am. So to close that gap, I need to do A, B, and C, right?
Exactly.
And oftentimes people don't even realize what their goal is. Like, you ask them, what is your, and like Joseph says, like, I've never thought about that. And it's not until you start asking and pulling from them that they start to also realize, oh wow, I have a passion for this. I never thought I wanted to travel. I remember Joseph asking me, like, what are my goals? And I was like, he's like, do you want to travel? And I was like, I actually do. I never thought I could.
Yeah.
You know, I never thought I could save money to go anywhere I wanted to. Yeah. So I think it's just it's like forming that relationship so you can pull the right questions out of those people and help them figure out what their goals are.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah, because they're the ones who know themselves best, but at the same time, they don't unless they're asking the questions too, right?
Yeah.
So we often need someone to mirror that for us.
Yeah. It's a new self-discovery. It's another, it's another part of opening yourself and not knowing that even existed in you.
Yeah, because when we were putting together this summit, and I was looking at what was being presented, I was like, there needs to be a financial piece here. Money and finance is such a important factor in everybody's lives, but it's also sometimes when we think of spiritual, you think, oh, I shouldn't think about money sometimes, right? Yeah, where actually it's one of the most important things to consider and think about. Yeah. And actually, as you examine your relationship and who you are with money and how money is with you, etc., it can open up so much information about yourself.
It does, and it goes hand in hand with health, because if you're stressed about money, then your health is affected. Yeah. And of course, if you have an abundance, you also run the risk of health stuff too. That doesn't go away, but it's just why add more to that than what's already going on in the universe. It's just when you open yourself up, then everything works collectively as it should, and that's the another huge thing that we do is we help them understand is allow yourself to be accepting of your abundance, whatever your abundance is. Not one, two people's same idea of abundance is equal. Right. So allowing yourself to be open to the abundance and accepting it, that changes your whole relationship with money.
Completely. And I think too, if you ask somebody the question, how do you define success? You're going to get a different answer each time.
Of course.
Right? And you ask somebody, what's your definition of wealth? It's going to be dependent on that person's values.
Exactly. So with that, piggybacking on that, pulling everything out from someone is one of the funnest things we could do, because we see the good, the bad, and the ugly. And we open up all of our sessions is we share our own stories, right? It was very imperative that every financial counselor, financial advisor, accountant that I have in the firm has a story of a financial economic crisis. Because if you skated through life with that, money was never a problem, then you cannot understand anybody's situation, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm the first one to say, if I could come out of bankruptcy, if I could come out of foreclosure, I had a tax levy. If I could come out of all of that, and still build my wealth and still be authentically myself, anybody can. Right. It's not a freaking big deal. But of course we get afraid, and what are you going to think? You're going to judge me. It's the same with fitness, right? One of my biggest Achilles heels is my fitness. I walk into a gym and I think, oh my God, they're going to think I'm too fat. I don't know how to use this. I don't know how to do a machine. What am I going to do? I don't know what to do. Yeah. You're already shutting yourself down, and we do that with money. Yeah. So what we try to do is, of course, allow you to come in, allow you to understand. It's okay. Don't worry.
Well, right. And exactly like with fitness, Irma, I think you can relate to this too with your training and financial background.
Yes, definitely. I've come a long way in my own fitness journey and in the fitness industry. I lost a lot of weight through weightlifting. And then I started doing the meditation and the yoga and all of that encompassing. And I found that I was healing myself because of the relationship that I had with food and the relationship that I had with my own health. And in reality, that was the relationship I had with money. Thinking that, like for example, when for me, when I would have a lot of money, I would spend it all, spend it. Just like when you get a plate of food and you want to eat all of the food that's in front of you.
Yeah.
So it was that very much the same type of relationship where it's like, okay, if I have all this money, I'm able to put some away and save it and know that it'll grow and that I'll get some more. And the same thing with food. It's like, that's not the last plate of food I'm going to have. Like, I'll eat again. Like, it's okay to not, So it's the same thing with counting money. I always go counting money, counting macros. And it's funny because macros are both in economics and in the fitness industry. But it's accounting both. And so now dealing with people, working with women who are in the same position as I am, I see a lot of myself in them, and I have to remember that it's a very slow process.
Yeah.
They're like it's like farming, like slow money. You have to get them to understand and try to change the way they view things. Because if you tell them no, you can't, that's wrong. If you start doing that, they're not going to want to work with you. A, and B, they're going to go back to their same old habits.
Yeah.
So it's about introducing them to things very, very slowly. Right. And almost like, okay, you conquered this step, let's move on to the next step. You conquered that one, and so on and so forth. So, fitness and the financial stuff are go hand in hand.
Right.
If you can't handle one, you can't handle the other.
Right.
I mean, I think you can handle either one. I think you can master one, but I think once you master that one, then you can master the other one. It's not as difficult as we think it is.
Right. It's applying the same techniques that if you have a goal of a certain race on a certain date, and then you worked backwards to create a training plan, you can do the same thing financially.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it's about viewing, like, I have a girl who wants to compete for soccer. She wants to start playing soccer again. So I told her, well, you can't do it if you don't train at like the days that I have told you to train. And if you don't do that, then you're not going to get to that goal.
Right.
Same thing if you have a goal of traveling and you want to have $1,000 to go on a trip. But every day you continue to spend the same amount of money and you're not looking at that goal, then how are you going to get to that $1,000? How are you going to get to that goal of playing soccer if you don't do the steps that are going to get you there?
So would you guys recommend, I know with some of my fitness goals or certain other goals, I'll almost put something on like a sticky tab, and put it on my mirror. Would you say to do the same thing almost with some of the financial goals?
It's almost like manifestation.
Yeah.
So that's fun to do. What we also do is we have a form that we send out to our clients every year, and it's kind of like it's how to save $1,000 for a month, and we have them put it up somewhere, and it shows weekly how you scratch off weekly how much you save. Whether it be $50 this week, $100, you even get a free one when you're like, this week I saved nothing.
Right.
So
yeah.
So it's visually, it's putting it in front of you is what it is. So yes, the Post-it work, it works.
Yeah,
it totally works. And I say that works because I did it while I was building the company, and I posted in my bathroom because we're always in the bathroom, right? And then I posted at my front door before I left. I put, you're going to do it. You could do it. And it's just reassurance and manifesting it for yourself. So yes,
keeping those
definitely.
goals front and center, because otherwise you're going to go back to Starbucks and spend the same thing. If you knew that day, if I simply saved $5 today, by the end of the week I have $35, right? So if I just didn't have that latte every single day, and I were to actually take that same money and put it over here, boom, right? So as far as working with your clients, how important do you feel it is that they understand, the deep stuff, about retirement, about investments, about savings? Do they need to know the nitty gritty, or can they just understand the basics first and work their way in?
You'll get a lot of different answers from a lot of different people in our industry on that. But my favorite thing to educate and let everybody know is you don't need to know the nitty gritty.
Okay.
The reason why you don't is because it changes every month.
Right.
Every month there's something different. And every month that opens up a whole nother way of different things, right? Mm-hmm. But the most important things that people need to know are financial concepts, right? Okay. 3 financial concepts.
Good.
The power of time, because time is never on anyone's side. Mm. The power of taxes, because that's a guarantee. Mm. And then also compounding interest. How long is it going to take for me to double and triple my earnings?
Wow.
Those are the 3 major financial concepts that No, majority of people do not know, but they have to know them. Those are the ones that we have them master. We even give them homework.
Good. I love hearing that because I think sometimes we can find people who are willing to take our money and they're willing to, go put it in different things and work with it, or someone who's willing to do your taxes, but there's not necessarily the relationship that you're talking about. And helping that person become financially fit is what we'll say, right? Because it is financial fitness. It's me becoming fit, and it like the first time I went for a run, I didn't go out and run 12 miles. I went out and ran a half a mile, right? I mean, I wouldn't have walked the next day if I ran 12 miles, right? And maybe never worked out again, right? So if you're overwhelmed, it's good to one step at a time. And
that's such a good analogy. And let me ask you, what's the furthest you've ever ran?
Oh, the furthest I've ever run is actually 40 miles.
Whoa! And how long did it take you to get up to that?
It took me years to get up to that. Yeah.
Exactly. So imagine you do that in the same. You have to have that same belief with your money.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's going in certain ways. It's going to grow so much within those 40 miles, 40 years, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
And that's why it's a partnership, and that's why it's because we want to get you to the 40 miles. We want to get you to the next level for whatever it may be that you want to do.
Yeah, because I think that some people who have, I know speaking for myself and friends of mine who are in, let's say we have certain other expertise, it's interesting how you can then feel stupid in finance or have this mantra that you're stupid.
Of course. Yeah. And we have, again, you look at someone, we have a few clients who are physicians. We have one who's a very prominent heart surgeon at Cedars-Sinai. And if you knew his financial background, you'd be like, where did that come from? Mm-hmm. So again, we perceive how people are one way, but we really don't know how they are at the end.
Oh, so interesting. I know. I have one good friend who says there's only a few people that know my finances and my sex life, right? Because it's like we keep both of those, pretty underneath under the covers. So on a couple practical notes, if someone is carrying a balance on their credit card, do you think keeping a certain balance is a good idea? Do you think paying off the credit card is super important?
Mm-hmm. We there's good debt and there's always bad debt.
Okay.
And of course, credit cards that are considered bad debt. Mm-hmm. But we live in a swipe society, which is now turning into a chip society, right?
Right.
So now you can't run away from credit cards, and that's okay. But everyone must carry no more than a minimum 50% balance on their credit card.
Okay.
Because we have clients who are 80% maxed out and say, I pay my payment on time every month. Well, little did they know that their credit score is also defined on how much they utilize their credit. So you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. If you carry a zero balance, that affects you negatively because it shows you don't know how to use credit.
Right.
Then if you carry more than 50% consistently, then it shows you don't know how to use credit and you're living off your credit cards.
So a company wants to see you pay it down and use it again and pay it down and use it again?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. And if you have to, and if you're going to carry balance, it should be no more than 50% of the credit limit.
All right. Good information. And then so when you are paying down debt, whether it's, I don't know what your definition of good or bad is yet completely, but should you pay down your largest debt first? Like what debt do you pay off first? A credit card, a mortgage? What are the priorities as far as paying down?
Well, mortgage is good debt.
Yes.
Okay.
Anything tax deductible is good debt.
Okay.
So that's a rule of thumb. So when it comes to credit cards, of course, if you have a little Victoria's Secret or a little small store credit card, pay that one down because that's dragging you down. But of course, end with a small balance, start with a small balance, and then chip away at the large balance.
Cool. And then with taxes, because I know you love educating about taxes. First of all, do you think having a CPA, an accountant, all of that's necessary? What do you think about tax forms like TurboTax and online taxes for people doing themselves?
The thorns in our side, huh?
Right.
Well, again, taxes are a very sticky situation because some people don't like to say what they really earn. But a rule of thumb for us is you have to understand that those systems were made for quick and easy things, right? Like maybe you have nothing to deduct and it's just you and you make less than $20,000 a year. Then yes, by all means, go ahead and use a system like that. But if you have a more complex tax situation, because the tax laws are complex, the tax laws change every year, and we just have a brand new tax law that just is effective 2018 that is changing everything again. Yeah. So our recommendation to everybody is find someone that you trust. Find someone who wants to educate you on your taxes. Also find someone who's open to all year around for 12 months, just like the IRS, and who does not do taxes seasonally. That is a no-no. Okay. If you have a tax preparer who only does taxes during these few months, no. Find someone who is open year-round because the IRS is year-round.
Right. Oh, cool. That's really good information. And I know that you love talking about taxes and educating on taxes, and so I'd love to turn the floor over to you for a few moments to share a little bit about what you wanted to share.
Okay. So everyone out there, be aware and be mindful of your federal and state withholdings. The form that you fill out is called the W-4. You usually fill it out when you start a new job, and that when you fill it out, you're putting in how many exemptions you have. You have 1, 2, 3, or 4, or 0. Just be mindful that the higher your exemptions are, the less you pay to Uncle Sam. So, for instance, if you're single, claiming 2 federal, 2 state exemptions, that means you have 2 children. So you're paying less to Uncle Sam, and at the end of the year, you have the potential of owing money. So be mindful of that, and if you have any questions about that, please contact your tax advisor or contact us. We'd be more than happy to guide you through it and answer that question. There's no charge for that, but it's a unspoken rule that everyone thinks they know, but they don't.
Okay, yeah, like how to fill that out. And I know friends of mine who've maybe not filled it out correctly and then not realized not enough was being taken out, and then they suddenly owed when they thought, how could I owe? And then they didn't have that money, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or sometimes they get a bonus check, or they do a lot of overtime, and they're like, I'm going to go exempt on this check, and then they forget. Right. Or their life changes, and they've been at the same job for 5-10 years, and then they only filled out a W-4 when they first started. They haven't done a new one.
Yeah, right. But every time you have a life change, like you get, like if you have a new child, you get married throughout the year, or you get a divorce, any big life change that you have, it's good to fill that form again.
Oh, okay, cool. That's awesome. That's really great information.
And where do you get that form? You should ask your payroll or HR.
Okay, awesome. And one other kind of practical question: do you have any favorite budgeting systems that people could start utilizing right now or in their life in order to begin creating that relationship towards their budget?
One of we do have a cheat sheet that we give every client on a budget, and we will definitely send that out to your to the people who contact us.
Yeah.
We'll be more than happy to send that out. Awesome. But one of the main things I think people should also understand is and remember is to pay yourself first.
Right.
Decide how budgeting is we're always going to have to budget something, right?
Right.
But budget yourself in your budget. Before you pay the bills, before you pay the rent, before you pay the mortgage, how much am I going to pay Joseph Garcia for the month? Am I going to pay him $100 a month? Am I going to pay him $500 a month? How much can I afford to pay him? When you ask yourself that first, then you budget everything else. So add yourself into your budget because you're the most important thing. Credit cards come and go, right? The mortgage will get paid off. Rent, it will always be around. But when you're done paying off the mortgage, when you're done paying off the credit cards, how much have you paid yourself so your 70-year-old self can benefit?
So cool.
So your 80-year-old self can benefit.
Yeah, beautiful. So if with everybody listening today, if you could give one last nugget, each of you, a message you'd like people to leave with, what would that be?
Irma, ladies first.
Gee. I would definitely say that the world is full of abundance and money is to be made. And we all have skills to be able to make money. And money is something that is not scarce. It's all around us. And whenever new opportunities come your way, whenever someone around you is succeeding and meeting new people, that's more doors for yourself as well to be able to make more money. Do not, I think that often the energy that you put out, so if you put out negative energy, woe is me energy, if you put out energy that is, oh, I'm not enough and this and that, then that's what you're going to get. So if you put out that I am abundant, I'm positive, I have this money coming my way, I see new opportunities, I'm happy, I'm this, then that's what you're going to attract. Money is like love. You attract what you give. So if you give crappy love, you're going to get crappy love back. If you give, so it goes hand in hand with your energy. So if that's one thing that I would tell everyone is that there's money to be made. Don't be scared of it. Money is our friend, and we just have to learn to have a good relationship with it. That's it.
Very good. Very good. If I can leave anything with the viewers is don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to discuss your situation. Don't be afraid to run away from your situation. Everything can be fixed, and let's have fun with your goals. Those are the main important things. Is yes, it's a serious situation, but let's have fun with it. And don't be afraid, because when we really open the map and the financial roadmap, you'll see how easy. It's like you're holding your. That's the way it feels, when it happens. So don't be afraid, and definitely whoever you seek, if it's not us or if it's somebody else, make sure that they understand you. If they're not hearing you, then don't go. If they don't understand you, don't do it. If you don't feel comfortable, don't do it. Those are the main things that we want people to understand.
I love it. Thank you. And I also know that you guys have an offering for the community.
Yes, of course. So for the 15 that email us first, we will give them a free hour session of financial counseling and financial advising.
Oh, that's so awesome. That's so beautiful. So in the subject line, when you guys email, the first 15 people who email them, put MBSS VOS Financial. MBSS VOS is VOS Financial in the subject line, so they know that you're coming from this interview. And the rest of the information is in with all of the information about the interviewees. So thank you, Irma. Thank you, Joseph. You guys are so awesome. You guys just have a fabulous day, and thank you for taking this time to be with the community.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, blessings.
Have a good day, guys.